Live from Hallandale Beach, it's Holistic Strides. Hey now, everybody. Welcome to Holistic Strides, a Start With Your Feet production. We are coming to you live on tape from my office in sunny Hallandale Beach, Florida. My name is Dr. Richard J. Rimler, otherwise known as Doc Rick, and I am one of a few holistic podiatrists in the country. I am also your host of Holistic Strides, a talk show devoted to taking small but powerful steps down a path to a more holistic lifestyle with an emphasis on foot health and the start with your feet approach to wellness. This includes unique advice on supportive shoes, orthotics, exercise, exercise via high intensity interval training, organic nutrition, vitamins and supplements, and stress management. So, why should you watch or listen to my show? The short answer is to achieve better health through self empowerment with the understanding that it all starts with your feet. The idea is to add one holistic principle regularly to your life and gradually transform yourself to better health. Just take it one step at a time. I can guide you since I have undergone the same transformation. Therefore, I walk the walk. Today, I will be talking about heel pain. Before we get to that, I want to go over what I feel is the most important thing you can do for your health besides not smoking cigarettes: high intensity interval training, which goes by the acronym HIT. Start by picking your preferred mode of exercise. It could be walking, running, using an exercise bike, treadmill, doing jumping jacks, or swimming. Try to do this close to home for convenience. Try doing it in the morning, since it only takes 10 to 12 minutes. That way you can get it in before work or school. Here is my personal prescription for HIT. Start off with a 20-second fast velocity followed by a 1-minute slow recovery speed, and do this for 6 intervals. In my case, I go out to the street in front of my house and I sprint for 20 seconds. Then, after the recovery portion of roughly 1 minute of slow walking, I reverse my direction and sprint for 20 seconds once again for the next interval. After doing 6 intervals at 20 seconds fast speed, I then switch to a 15-second fast velocity, followed by the same 1 minute slow recovery speed, and do this for 3 intervals. Guess what? You are now done. The take home point is that the final 3 intervals must be done at a faster speed to reap the health benefits, which are substantial. These benefits include strengthening your lungs and heart, aiding in weight loss by inducing a 12-hour fat afterburn, better oxygenation to your cells, and most notably, being anti aging. Think of it as your own personal stem cell treatment given to you by yourself. I have been personally doing this technique since I first heard about it when I was age 50, and I think that this is one of the main reasons for my continued good health into my 60s. By the way, you can access a free ebook download about HIT, including my prescription, by going to my website, startwithyourfeet.com, and then you will find it in the blog section. I invite everyone to incorporate HIT into your schedule and join the Start With Your Feet and Holistic Strides family. Now, let's get on to our main topic for today, which is heel pain. One of the most common complaints that I hear in my office is when the patient tells me that their heel hurts first thing in the morning or after they have been sitting for a while and when they first stand up. This could be a sign that you're suffering from heel spur syndrome or plantar fasciitis. So I call heel spur syndrome pain in the bottom of the heel, and I call plantar fasciitis pain in the arch. So they're two different geographic locations, but the biomechanics behind them are similar. The reason that this happens first thing in the morning or first thing after rest is because of the thick anatomical ligament on the bottom of the foot called the plantar fascia. So this is a thick ligament that connects from the base of your toes to the insertion on your heel bone, which is called your calcaneus. So when you are at rest, the ligament contracts and gets shorter. So when you make that first step in the morning or after you've been sitting and you make that first step, it gives a big pull onto the base of where it attaches to on the heel. So this can cause inflammation. So some of the reasons, and then that inflammation causes pain. Some causes of the problem relate to faulty biomechanics, faulty shoes, excessive body weight, or excessive activity. So these are all things that can lead to pain in the heel. So with all of these presentations, the thing to focus on initially, if it is your basic heel spur syndrome, is to reduce the inflammation. So I like to do the following in my workup to do that. So you want to get diagnostics. An x-ray is usually the first thing that's going to be done. However, if you have heel spur syndrome, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a heel spur shown on the x-ray. So you can have just inflammation on the heel that has not ossified on the x-ray. You won't see a heel spur on the x-ray. So you can have a heel spur that's on the heel that never hurt. You can have no heel spur that you're having a lot of pain there. So basically, it revolves around inflammation. So you can take an x-ray. The x-ray is negative for heel spur, but you can still have pain there. So the next step would be getting a diagnostic ultrasound, which shows the soft tissue. So you can see the inflammation on the ultrasound in the heel area, but you can also see the thickness of the plantar fascia. So a long-standing plantar fasciitis will lead to a thickening of the plantar fascia. And that is actually less of an inflammatory condition and will not necessarily respond to the basic things that you're going to do for heel spur syndrome. We'll get to that a little later. So getting back to the typical presentation, the first thing that you want to do for heel pain is you want to reduce the inflammation. So I like to use natural anti-inflammatories because they're safer, fewer side effects. The things that typically are given, Advil, Aleve, Motrin, prescription anti-inflammatories, and even cortisone injections, are not the things that I'm going to do initially. I'm going to go with natural anti-inflammatories. I'm going to go with them because of the better safety profile. Over the counter and prescription anti inflammatories can cause stomach ulcers, they can raise your blood pressure. Taken long term, they can cause kidney damage. So I like to go with safer things. A cortisone shot is typically given, but I don't like to do that initially because that actually can reduce the fat pad under the heel. And that fat pad is necessary for natural cushioning. So if you get multiple cortisone shots to the heel, that's going to set you up potentially to thin the fat pad. And as you get older, you might not be able to walk comfortably without shoes because of a thinned fat pad, which is going to get thinner anyway as you get older. So that's why I'm not going to jump to give a cortisone injection either. Another thing that's very good to do to treat heel pain is using ice. So in the evening, if you're having a day where the heel is hurting, you put a towel down to protect the skin. Then you make an ice pack from a bag of frozen vegetables, or if you already have a commercial ice pack, you put it on the heel for 10 minutes, you take it off for 10 minutes, and then you put it back on for 10 minutes. So it's 10, 10, 10. You can take an hour break, and if the heel is still hurting, you can go again 10, 10, 10. 10 on, 10 off, 10 on. So that is something that is going to reduce inflammation right to the area. So that's always a good thing to do. You're going right to the spot that hurts, you're giving ice. That's going to reduce inflammation. Typically, when I have a patient with this problem, with heel pain, I'm going to put a strap on their foot. I'm going to have them leave it on for 3 days. I'm going to have them take a natural anti inflammatory. Then I'm going to find out how they did with that in place and base my follow up on how they did. And if they tell me that they had no relief from the strap and from the natural anti inflammatory, it's going to cause me to think that there might be something else causing the problem. Could be coming from, it could be a nerve related presentation coming locally or from the lower back. It could be a vascular situation. It could be an injury. It could be a fracture, a stress fracture. It could be a lot of things that are not overly common, but these are the things that it can lead to having continued pain. It could be a systemic arthritis like rheumatoid arthritis or fibromyalgia, where there's so much inflammation that even the local treatment and the anti-inflammatory that I give is not enough. So it's going to cause me to rethink my strategy and tweak things based on how the patient reacts, and it might call for me to go for further diagnostics, go for blood testing, go for lower back workup, etc. For heel pain, it's also very important to wear a good supportive sneaker or walking shoe that is firm behind the heel, that's going to promote stability and less motion. So you want to wear those shoes even inside the house when you're having pain. If you are able to wear a rubber soled wedge sandal inside the house or outside the house and you're doing better with that, you can wear that kind of shoe. But for the typical presentation, I'm going to want my patient wearing sneakers in and out of the house along with my strap to see how controlling the, the, the mechanics of the foot are going to be placed in a better position when you have that in place for reduced motion and added stability. On the nutrition front, you want to make sure that you're reducing your intake of white flour, which is found in bread, pastries, and pasta, because that leads to inflammation and that could lead to heel pain, among other things. And you want to be drinking plenty of water. Typically, the water amount you want to drink is about half the amount of your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 180 pounds, you want to drink about 90 ounces of water, which is a lot. So if you can get close to that, that would be good. If not, just try to drink as much water as possible because water will help to reduce inflammation. Once I get the patient's pain down, I then want to switch them to a long term strategy to keep the pain down. So I'm going to keep them on a probiotic. Uh, that is something that is a long term strategy to promote better health. It promotes improved digestion. It reduces inflammation. It improves your immune system. So I want my patients on a 50 billion probiotic. I'm also going to want my patients to get an orthotic so that we don't have the same problem happening over and over again. Another thing that is very important is to take that probiotic potentially along with another natural anti-inflammatory. So some of the natural anti-inflammatories that I use are RheumArt, which has garlic and celery in it, separate Kyolic garlic extract, separate celery extract, fish oil, turmeric curcumin. Those are some things that are natural anti-inflammatories that you can treat the heel spur pain with that are safer than over-the-counter and prescription anti-inflammatories. So again, I was getting back to if things are not improving, there could be other things causing the problem, other entities. So you can have a nerve problem causing it. So the nerve problem can be local. In the side of the heel, there's a nerve called the medial calcaneal nerve. That's something that can cause a heel pain that's not necessarily going to respond to anti-inflammatories. So that is something that has to be considered if things are not getting better. Another thing that can be considered is uh, tarsal tunnel syndrome, which is like carpal tunnel syndrome on the hand, but this is on the ankle. And so the tarsal tunnel can be entrapped, and the nerve in there can be entrapped, and that can cause a heel pain. And then you can also get pain coming from the lower back, such as an inflammation, a disc problem, or a spinal stenosis. So all of those things can cause pain in the heel. So it's up to me to figure out what I think is causing it, and based on how the patient responds to my treatment is what I am going to do and the things that I'm going to recommend. And if it's coming from the back, obviously I'm going to send them out for back x-rays, sometimes a back MRI. I'm going to have them go to a specialist who can deal with the back directly, such as a chiropractor or an orthopedist or a physiatrist. When you are talking about heel pain, one of the things that's really bad is going barefoot. So there are some things where barefoot is okay, like a broken toe. There are other things where it's not, like a heel spur. So for a heel spur, you do want to be in a shoe. You want to be preferably in a sneaker or a rubber soled wedge shoe. You can also, when you're wearing those shoes, be very conscious of the part behind the heel to make sure that it is firm to give your foot more stability. Then what I'm going to do with the orthotic is the same, is the second part of the stability factor, where you have the shoe with a lace going back into the heel where it's firm, and then you take the insole out, you put the orthotic in, and then you have control of the foot from underneath. So the 1-2 punch is going to be the shoe with a lace and a firm counter, and then holding you from behind, and then the orthotic gets you balanced from underneath and puts your foot in the optimum position. And then you are looking at trying not to have this problem be a recurring problem. And that's why I always recommend taking probiotics and other anti-inflammatories that are natural even after the problem is over. You're just going to take a lower dose of it. When you're having the problem, you take a higher dose, then you lower it down when things are better as a maintenance dose. But remember that there are interactions with these things, even though they're natural. So you don't want to do this on your own. You want to do this under the supervision of a physician that's going to know the drug interactions, most notably with blood thinning medications where the natural anti-inflammatories are going to interact. That's why a probiotic is very good in my eyes, because that will not interact with blood thinning medications, and that's what I'm going to lean on when somebody's on a blood thinning medication. In conclusion, if you have painful heel that hurts in the morning, you want to get your sneakers on immediately. You can start icing in the evening, but you want to get to a podiatrist as soon as possible to get the proper diagnosis and get the treatment going as soon as possible while you're in the acute phase where it's a lot more treatable. And then rather than it progressing to a more chronic phase where it becomes less inflammatory and makes it a lot harder to deal with. So time is of the essence with this kind of problem. It's a very common problem, and it's something that is easily treated most of the time. And even if it is not treated with the typical workup and regimen, there are other things that it can be that once it's identified can then be treated as well. So then you have to treat the local problem with the shoes and the orthotics. And if it's not a local problem, then you have to see where it's coming from and then deal with that issue directly so that you can get to the source of the problem. And so it might be that you might have to end up going to a chiropractor regularly to keep your back in better shape, to move a disc that's pushing on the nerve that's causing the heel pain over so that it's not pushing on it, etc. So those are the things that need to be taken into consideration. But in my eyes, the typical heel spur syndrome is going to be dealt with reducing the inflammation, the right shoe gear, and an orthotic. It looks like we are out of here today. I hope you enjoyed the show and learned something new. I want to thank all of my striders for their attention. I hope that you guys can incorporate today's topic into your lifestyle gradually over the next month to then make it a habit. Email me if you have any particular topics you would like me to talk about on future shows. Until next time, start thinking outside the box in your approach to overall health by looking to your feet as a starting point. Walk strong and live long, my friends. See you next time on Holistic Strides.